and welcome to Ones to Watch, powered by Football Index, where you bet on the football stock market by buying shares in the world's top players. I'm joined, as always, by Sir Alan McInally. How are we, Al?
Morning, Emma. How are you?
I'm good, cheers. How are you?
Good. Yeah, looking forward to this. A couple that are definitely in there, and one that I didn't think I'd be throwing in, but I think his form this season deserves a pat in the back. We'll see what everybody thinks on our One to Watch.
Let's get stuck straight in then. Who's your first one to watch this week?
Plays for Chelsea. His form this season has been so much better. There was a time where I just thought it wasn't going to work out for him, and his name is Kurt Zouma, Chelsea player. Thiago Silva coming in, I think, has definitely helped him. He's had a few different partnerships with Christensen and Azpilicueta, etc. And I just think his form this season is definitely worthy of one of our ones to watch.
Yeah, I mean, he joined Chelsea in 2014 for 12 mil. But as we can see, Al, he's bounced around a loan a bit. Do you think now he's just starting to settle and find his feet a bit?
Yeah, well, I think when he came in from St Etienne, I'm almost sure he just went straight back there. And then he was at Stoke, which I watched him a couple of times. He also ended up at Everton. He's obviously on loan and did okay. So it just shows you it hasn't been particularly easy for him. And I think that's the reason why maybe Chelsea had certainly bought for the future. And now maybe he's got to 26 years old. He's showing that kind of, he's showing the form that they expected from him. I know he had, did you say, how many French caps has he got?
He's got 6, so he's just starting to work his way into the French team.
Yeah, 26 years old. I mean, nothing wrong with being a late starter in international terms. It's certainly not been easy for him to get into the international team in France because they are pretty strong in that department. But I think with his form at Chelsea at the moment, he just looks as if he's making the right decisions. And if you're buying a defender in, I want him to defend. We can work on his play, we can work on his distribution. But first and foremost, I want him to be a defender. And it looks as though this season, that's exactly what he's been focusing on.
He certainly is. And if we have a look here as well, we can see he's won 26 of his 27 aerial duels this season, Al, which means he's only lost 1 in 7 league games. That's 96.3% success rate, best in Europe and easily the best in the Premier League.
Well, that's an amazing stat that you've come up with there, because that just proves kind of the point I was trying to say without having the figures in front of me, that his defending has been better, his decision-making is better, and the aggression of being a middle two of defenders, that's what you want from them. I do think that Thiago Silva beside him has helped him a lot. I genuinely do. I think his, not necessarily calming influence, but I think his experience and Zuma knowing how good Silva is, and probably, to be quite honest with you, the reason that he was brought to the football club by Frank Lampard. They will be delighted with Kurt Zouma this season. There's no question about that. And I think because of his form this season, he is a definite one to watch, and he's done really, really well.
He certainly has. Well, feel free, as always, to have your say in the comments below. Right then, our second one to watch, Al, is Bradley Dack. 26 years of age, joined Blackburn in 2017 for 750 grand. But of course, he's been plagued with injury, hasn't he, for quite some time.
Wonderful football player. I probably put the curse on him, to be honest, because I tipped Blackburn to actually make a bit of a late run last year and maybe sneak up through the playoffs. And Bradley went and got, and Bradley went and got injured and did his cruciate ligament, which was, apart from the player, a disaster for Blackburn. He is, and I think I've said this on Sky a couple of times, and it reminds me of something I said about Ollie Watkins when he played in the Championship with Brentford. He's a Premier Division football player. It's there. He's a very good midfield player. He gets in the box. He's not as if he's a 6'2" or whatever. He's a little smaller, gets around the pitch really well. He's a very, very good football player, and definitely one to watch. Delighted he looks as though he's getting back to some kind of fitness for himself and for Blackburn.
I mean, the stats back up what you say, Al. If we have a look at the highest scoring top 4-tier midfielders since 17-18, he's right up there at the top with 42. He's played 114 games for Blackburn, 46 goals and provided 24 assists. I mean, he's out of contract at the end of the season, but they have a 12-month option to extend. Highly likely they're going to employ that, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure, Emma. If they don't, somebody's not doing their job right at Blackburn. It's a no-brainer. He will be given and offered a new contract. Just depends whether Bradley wants to sign it. I'm sure he will. because they have stuck behind him after all. 11 months out of football is a long time. Delighted to see him coming back. And Tony Mowbray will be the happiest manager in the Championship because he's getting a player that's worth, I don't know, I certainly think they'd be looking for 20 million anyway for Bradley Dack if they were to sell him on. Maybe even more than that. If I'm saying he's a Premier Division football player in a Championship team. And then again, of course, it's all down to how he comes back again. You know, are we going to see the same Bradley Dack, the same stats that you've given me out that we saw last year? I certainly hope so. He's a very good football player, and he's an important midfield player for Blackburn.
Well, it's been, in terms of those 11 months in days, Al, 330 days between appearances. He's set to play a couple of under-23 games as well before being in contention. So if he does come back the same Bradley Dack, this is the perfect time to have him as one to watch, isn't it?
Oh, my goodness, yeah. I'm sure you and I have spoken about him before a couple of times, and you know, because I've spoken about him with you for sure, that he's one of the better players in the Championship if I ever cover any of the Championship games, and he's been really good. Although Blackburn have actually had a decent start to the season, I think he's still missed in their team. I genuinely do. And I think if they get him 80-85%, I think Tony Mowbray would be genuinely tempted just to play him. But it will be little steps after all. It's a long time to be out of football with a cruciate ligament. But the good thing is, it looks as though he's going in the right direction. Get a couple under 23 games behind him, get him back into training as soon as he can. And then it's all down to Bradley. It's all down to him to prove to everybody he's as good as I think he is.
Well, he's branching out into reality TV as well, Al, with his fiancée Olivia on ITVB. They're going to be starring in a reality show. So, well, it'll be one to watch there as well, won't he?
I don't know. Who's he married to? Or is his fiancée, did you say?
Fiancée, they're getting married. Never mind that bit. We'll just focus on the pitch, eh?
Listen, I think you and I should have a reality television series, darling.
I don't think anybody would want to view that.
No, they would, because you get up at 5:30 in the morning and I don't get up till 9. Anyway, well, listen, I wish him all the very best with himself and his fiancée, whoever she may be. I'll just concentrate on Bradley Dack, the football player at the moment.
And you could concentrate on him as well. Feel free, as always, to have your say in the comments below. Right then, Al, who is our third and final one to watch?
Well, this for me, we could have had him in the first week. We could have had him in the middle of last year. And I've waited, but I can't wait any longer. John McGinn from my old team, Aston Villa, who has, to be honest, also had injury problems. But when he's in the Villa team, along with the other players they've got there, which we'll speak about in a moment, he is by far one to watch in the Premier Division. And almost, not the main reason, but for me as a Scotsman, the main reason Scotland are going to be in the Euros and the main reason that Aston Villa are doing so well.
I mean, when you saw him come off against Serbia, they almost looked as though they lost control a little bit in that game, didn't they, Ben?
Yeah, we did. We did a little bit, but Steve was trying to juggle the pack a little bit. You know, we've still got more games to come. But it just shows you that, you know, without John McGinn, Aston Villa haven't looked as good, regardless of how Grealish has played. I think they complement each other so well, and obviously Ross Bartley thrown in the mix now. Villa look like a proper Premier Division football club and could really hurt teams, and that's exactly what you expect from John. I remember Brucey saying ages ago, I mean, £2 million from Hibs, excuse me, it wasn't any more than that. Brilliant bit of business from Stevie Bruce when he was at Aston Villa. And I think, well, not now he's not proven it, I think he's proven it already, but I just think injury-free now, he's been just so good for his club and for his country.
Yeah, Steve Bruce described him as his best ever signing. And let's have a look at the proof of that. So John McGinn for Aston Villa, 81 games, 11 goals, 17 assists. And if we have a look at the Premier League assists for the season so far, he sits in third place, just under Jack Grealish and Harry Kane. I mean, pretty remarkable that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think you've already seen it this season, how good assists he can have. The biggest thing with me, out with the assists, is his goals. He gets goals. He's danger. You know, he's got a nose to be in the right place at the right time. But his general play has been so good. And like I say, with Grealish and certainly with throwing in Ross Bartley, he's looked absolutely fantastic. And he is, of all the Premier Division players right now in top form, he is by far in our top 10 ones to watch. He's been brilliant for Aston Villa. And I think if you asked any Aston Villa fan, although they may say Jack Grealish, obviously, because he's on Ibdy's tongue at the moment too with the international scene he's playing in now. John McGinn would be pretty hot on his tail. He's been that good for Villa.
I mean, Manchester United have been linked in the past. Without Grealish, would he be talked of more big money moves still, do you reckon?
Yeah, probably. I suppose the fact that he's Scottish would that should put him actually higher than Jack Grealish. But I think I don't know. I mean, they kind of complement each other. I mean, it's a difficult one. Without Jack in the team, I still think John would shine. But certainly as a collective, they've just been so good. But listen, there's no question that Aston Villa right now have a player that they don't want to lose. But I'll guarantee there'll be big clubs genuinely interested in thinking he could definitely play in our football team. I hope he doesn't go. I hope he stays with Aston Villa.
Well, he made that choice to jump over to Aston Villa from Hibs. But don't the best Scottish players want to go to Celtic or Rangers as a rule?
Oh, that's a good question. You've thrown me there. That is a good question. No, I don't think that is the case anymore. It certainly was the case. And back in my day, I suppose that was maybe even more so. But I think, the world is so much smaller now in terms of, you just seem to, there's lots of different players and all foreign players playing in England as well as, some of our home shore guys playing. I don't know whether, to be quite honest with you, I haven't spoke to John McGinn about this. Did he have the opportunity to go to Celtic and Rangers? Was he even a Celtic and Rangers fan? Maybe playing at Hibs, he couldn't have cared less, either of the other. But certainly Aston Villa got the best of the deal for sure. And right now, the way John McGinn's playing, he's a captain of his country. Then Celtic and Rangers have lost out considering £2 million Aston Villa paid for him. So to answer the question is, certainly that used to be the case. I don't know whether it's the case now so much. And just maybe with this Scotland crop of players, maybe more of the Scottish-based players might be heading south rather than to the old firm.
Interesting. Thank you, Al. Well, feel free, as always, to have your say in the comments below. Al, thank you very much for that.
You're welcome. Good to see you.
I had a good time as always, and thank you for joining us for Ones to Watch, powered by Football Index, where you bet on the football stock market by buying shares in the world's top players. We'll see you next week.